Good afternoon, everyone. I believe it's day 9 today, so welcome. Um, Today, I think I'm going to talk how things mean everything to me. Everything I own has to mean something to me. When I look for something for myself, it has to mean something for me. I think this is a really good thing because I feel connected to everything I own. There's a purpose, not just physically, but spiritually for me. Um, but also, I know that everything I own I love, really, really love it. But it can be frustrating for people too, because when I'm looking for something that I feel connected with, it can take a long time for me to choose something. What brought that up to me today is just my engagement ring. I was naughty and I chose my own, but I had to look for the perfect one that meant something to me. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a snake and it has diamond eyes and it's really quite beautiful in reality. But this one, the snake's meant to represent forever love, a true love. And plus, my partner, when I first met him, he had these beautiful snakes. So when I first seen it, I thought that's the one I need to have. I'd like to have that one. So I was naughty. I just said, I think I found my engagement ring to my partner, but it's really your choice. And he had a look at it and he thought it was perfect for us as well. But that's just one of the things. My elephant in the background, and I have a tiger over this side. To me, it's just representing that nature. Like, you know how much I love animals and feel connected with them. It's funny, the tiger is kind of like a totem to me because the name of the painting is called The Queen. And the tiger's just sitting up all majestic. I should take a photo and share it with you. When I seen it, I thought, that's just so beautiful. It's just got so much magic in it. And I do look for the magic in every object I own. When I went overseas to Numia, it's this egg. I just needed this egg. It just felt connected with it. And when I took it home, it was actually meant to help with Publix. When I looked it up, I can't remember the zone. It's serum something. It starts with S. But when I looked it up, it's meant to help with communication, public speaking. And before I started this, I used to be really, really shy on a camera, believe it or not, because I just talk like every day now. But when I start, I have this egg with me, and it really means so much to me. And everything I have, like even I have special cards for my friends on my desk because they're so valuable and it's hard not to be so close to everything. But I'm trying very hard not to be a hoarder at that stage too. Like it feels like a real big loss when I have to let go of things. But I know things have a lifestyle. They don't only belong to me. I like to think they just belong to me, but they do belong to others as well. It's like they have their own life as well. So sometimes when things are necessary for me, they'll come to me, but sometimes those things that we own are necessary for others. So that's when you need to energetically allow the object to go to another person and let that object help the other person. And as I spoke to another thing, like you do fuse energy with your objects. Just by intention and love, you do connect with that object. I know if you come from a practical point of view, it's hard to see. But if you come from the spiritual point of view and learn about totems, like even I have my totem tiger looking at me because I believe very strongly in totems to help you overcome things and absorb your energy as well and share energy with you. Like objects share energy with you as well. So we just not only share energy with objects, objects share energy with us. It happens, they even talk about in physics how everything is sharing thing. It's just a conscious thing. Like even by observing things, we're sharing energy with the object, acknowledging things. My understanding of it might go deeper to a lot of people, but even psychology, our science, and spiritualism agree that we all share energy with everything around us. It's just that we all view it in different ways. So, being an empath, I look for things that I feel connected with when I buy things. Also, everything that comes to me, I find very precious as well. And I'm a believer that the right things come to at the right times as well. There's so many books that came into my life and I felt destitute of like, how am I going to overcome some emotional barrier that came? And then a book flies into my life, like a stranger even hands me a book. This is how magical I think this transition of energy is for things. Objects even know when they need to come into your life, and they come into your life. And as I communicate with these objects as well. And I guess I'm very gracious of them coming into my life as well. And I think it's a really good exchange for all people to have, because the more exchange of love that you give out into the world, the more exchange of love comes back to you. And I guess that's another reason I talk to trees, because they are pretty much a life force of their own, because not only do they give us love, and when they receive love when we give that love, they also provide us oxygen. It's like we have that life cycle with the tree. By us breathing, we can help the tree. By the tree breathing, it helps us too. So there's actually a symbiosis with trees, and I think that's why it's so important to talk to trees and acknowledge they are living. A lot of people classify animals and trees as two different sentient beings. Just because trees don't have the movement that other animals have doesn't mean it doesn't have its own movement. It just has a slower energy cycle. And as we're all connected, I'm not saying like, you don't, because, I'm not going the vegetarian thing, that you don't consume trees, you don't hurt trees. It's all a part of that life cycle. But you don't go out there and maliciously hurt trees. And it makes me sad that we just treat trees as nothing. They are sentient beings, but that doesn't mean they don't have energy as well. I don't know how I got into this peace talk with trees, but I just remind you that sending love to trees and acknowledging trees can be the most magical thing you can do. And even when I'm walking at night, I talk to the trees and say, please keep me safe. And it does make me feel like I have connection there with the trees. I might be just a little bit crazy, but it does make me feel embodied with security when I do have those conversations with trees, when I feel like a little bit out of place. So, and that, still having trouble sleeping because I had another night where I woke up from sleep and I wasn't in my room. So I must have been traveling again. But sometimes the experience is really nice and I wake up really happy. But lately I must be going to really weird places because I've been waking up. Like last time I woke up gasping for air like I was drowning. So I don't know where I went. And it took me at least 5 minutes to realize that I'm safely in my room. So I have no idea where I went. But this week I haven't been going to bed till 4, and I usually try to aim to go to bed at 2. But yeah, I've been going to bed at 4 and not getting enough sleep, which makes me a little bit apprehensive about going to work. And because for someone like me who is so creative and spiritual, it does take a lot of energy to get in that. This is a living lifestyle. This is how we need to be practical, because it's not my true nature. I am just so creative that sometimes to live in society and to function as expected, it takes a lot of energy. And I think that's because there's a disconnection from self. I don't have my full self going into that workforce because I leave a part of me behind, and that takes a lot of energy too, just to have that disconnection from yourself, just to please others. And we know this is not healthy, but we all do it because we need to survive. And it's not a bad thing to do, but you just need to have boundaries on that and limit that time you have a disconnection for self for others. obviously the payoff for me is that paycheck at the end of the week. And spiritually, I don't think that's a good thing, but practically, to have what I have, to be able to do my art, to do what I love, I need the job still. Doesn't mean it's going to be forever. Don't always need this disconnection from self, but it's important to know, as an empath, to know the difference between the disconnection of self and the true self. And the disconnection of self does take a toll on us. It does make us tired. It does make us weary, but it won't kill us. That's a good thing. It's just, remember, when you have that disconnection of self, you need to have that balance of self. So if you have that time in your life where you need to live up to expectations of others just to survive or live, remember to balance that to do with something you love. Like me, my art. I have my books. I have my cat. I make sure I make up for that disconnection of self by coming back to my real self, strong and hard. But if you have disconnection of self for too long, it does make you quite not well. We can do it for a little bit, but not like for a long time. We're not designed to be disconnected from self for a long time. And when we evolve, we learn how to be more ourselves. We know how to embody ourselves more in certain situations. We learn how to have boundaries in certain situations. Like, in my partnership, I think everyone, when they first date, they try to live up to expectations because we want to have a partnership for the rest of our life. But when you get comfortable with the person, you start creating more boundaries, healthy boundaries, to just say, look, I need this for myself so I can be myself. And you grow into that self within that relationship and let the partner grow into self within that relationship as well. And that takes time. Sometimes at your job, if you're lucky, you can also say, well, this is who I am, and bring your full self to the job. And when you find that, you appreciate that. But sometimes when we have these jobs to help us survive or help us to become the person that we need to be, and this is the job to help me to become the person I need to be able to do my art full time, to support me while I'm doing my art, sometimes I need to have a disconnection of self. But I remind myself when I come home that I still need that connection to self. So some people call it connection to source, higher self, true self, whatever you call it. You need to be that sometimes. And if you're lucky, be that more times than often. But sometimes life doesn't allow us to be our whole self. And just remember, on short periods of time, that's okay. But as long as you balance it with being yourself, doing the things you love, and don't forget about yourself, because those are the things that fill your cup, make you strong, make you resilient to the times when you can't be your real self. You need to put on another, like wear someone else's pants or be in a position. But just balance it. And sometimes life just goes so crazy that sometimes you just say, I can't be that person, but yes, you can be that person. And just make small habits. It will make your whole life so much easier if you just make those small habits to just make time for yourself. And I guess that's why I'm teaching people how to journal, because journaling, you only need 5 minutes just to sort of come back to yourself. It's a good start to learn how to come back to self, to learn what you need for yourself. Because sometimes we get so messed up with other people's expectations that we forget what we need for ourselves. And that's why I do art journaling and teach art journaling and teach art therapy and teach intuitive art to others. So even if you are busy with the bustle of life, you can still come back to yourself and learn more about yourself. Because when you come to the end of your life, and when you get to that time where you got to, I hate to say this word, but your deathbed, you want to know that you've put some input into life, that you were yourself and you were able to offer yourself to this world. Well, not like a sacrifice, but give yourself as love and compassion and know you put the best into your life. That nobody dictated your life or your life, that you had that choice. You were meant to love how you love. You play how you play. You work how you work. These are your God-given rights to make these decisions. And as an empath, it's harder because we sort of have to get stuck on other people's feelings. Other people's feelings just overwhelm us. We don't have that choice to say no. They just come to us. We have the choice to filter them out and just recall by saying, okay, that's not mine, and slowly send it back with love. But, we still have choices. Just because we feel everyone else and we have empathy doesn't mean we don't have our own choices. We have more choices because we understand things a lot deeper than others. And I just want you to remember that. And sometimes getting lost, the easiest thing to do is just have a conversation with yourself and just talk to yourself and just say, is that my energy? Okay, what's going on? I'm glad, as I said, videos are for everyone here, but it's also for me because I want to learn different ways that I can offer value to help everyone who wants to be creative, who wants to live a full life, and who is also an empath, know how to do it. And I want to help empower empaths, empower creative people to live the life they want to. I've felt trapped, and I know how awful that feels. If anything, when I felt trapped, I felt like a sludge, like a puddle of sludge on the floor. I didn't know which way to move. I felt very fluid. I felt quite negative and gross about myself. But somehow I got that opportunity to sort of use that sludge to grow into something great. And I really do care about myself, and I really love myself now. And I really think I'm quite, I don't know, the word that came to me was angelic. My angelic for myself. And I guess that means I love myself. And I'm happy with what I'm providing for myself and for others. And if I can help just transfer a few people from feeling like muck in nothing and lost and gross into something that's beautiful, just think of like a puddle of mud and someone put seeds in there and those seeds grow into something beautiful. Someone was able to do that for me, and I'd like to be able to do that for you as well. Anyway, I've noticed it's got to 18 minutes. I better get ready for the rest of the work and that. But love and light, thank you for listening to me. Good luck, beautifuls.